Hi there, I'm Chris for Tippy Club Gaming, and I'm here in the seat of power of Northumberland for Lord and Lady Percy, also known as the Duke and Duchess of Northumberland. Alnwick Castle is made of Copcrag's sandstone, very fine sandstone quarried about 26 miles away around Otterburn. Copcrag is a distinctive Northumbrian sandstone which contains iron deposits, which gives it a slightly red coloration along with the traditional sandstone yellow and orange. Alnwick Castle has been used in film and TV, such as the Harry Potter films and the first series of Blackadder. These are the paints I've used in this video. After wiping the MDF sheets with a damp cloth to remove any residue, I remove all the pieces from the sprue. I've already given it a test fit to make sure I don't need to trim anything down, but here I'll be sanding off the burnt edges of the pieces where we'll see them. This will make it easier for painting. Using green stuff, I made this little frieze of a cat, rampant gardened, and glued it to this piece, so it will be above the gate, like the lion in front of Alnwick Castle. It's hot as hell out today, so put the vest on and I thought I'd come out and do some spray priming with some of the old TT Combat spray paints. These are discontinued, but there are replacement colours available. So I'm using laser cut brown, which has been replaced with matte brown. I've only got a little bit of that left, and I've got some mummified khaki, which if you want to do this I would use phantom ivory. You'll get a similar finish with that. With the khaki, we are going to be spraying the stonework, and with the brown we'll be spraying the metal and the wood. I've also got a few halflings with a range of weapons. I've got some archers, swords and spears. I'll be spraying them like they were stone because as we see on the Alnwick Castle pictures, there are stone figures in the ramparts, and we'll be recreating that with these. I spray the wood and metal first, mainly because of the gate that's attached to the rear of the dice tower. We can mask it off afterwards for spraying the stonework, and be sure to spray both sides and the edges where needed. The spray paint lids give us pretty much the perfect curve for masking the gate on that wall piece, and the small areas it doesn't cover aren't noticeable. We'll have to clean up a little bit of the stone edging around the gate later, but that's fine. And again, spray both sides and the edges of the pieces. Now give it about 45 minutes just to dry and make sure it's completely degassed, and then we can take everything back inside. Using tungsten steel on a dry brush, we can begin painting the metal areas. Painting over the darker brown gives us a darker metal, and any areas that don't take the paint as much, it just adds to the weathering, and it makes it look a little bit older. Also, be sure to paint the back side of the gate, as this will still be visible when looking from the open front. And on the front side, there are these little details which I also painted metal. Loading up the brush with ancient steel, not worrying about cleaning the brush, we'll target about half of the metal. Just give it a rough highlight, and using your normal brush, add a small highlight to those little pieces of detailing. With Venetian tan and a clean dry brush or a piece of sponge, we're going to begin stippling on the tones of the sandstone. I had reference photos on my phone next to me, which I would highly suggest, and I'll post my photos on the Tippy Club blog linked in the description. We don't need to be neat, just avoid the metalwork. Also, with this colour, we can tidy up any of the brown paint on the gate border. The edges of all of these tabs, including the ones on the top, will be visible when we put this all together, so we'll paint those now too. With Tech Ceramic, we'll stipple over all the stonework again, being sure to let the other colours show through too. Tex ceramic is a great choice for showing a fresh sandstone, where smoke, grime and oxidisation hasn't built up yet. With trench mud, we'll begin to add the weathering that sandstone builds up over time, as the iron inside of it oxidises in the elements and general air pollution stains it. There's no real rhyme or reason as to where to add this, but I find that being sparing with it around the bottoms of the walls, but a little more generous around the corners and the tops of the walls gives a very natural look, like what you see on Anna Castle. Next is black, but we need to be sparing with this as it can very easily overpower everything we've built up so far. I'd suggest just catching the top of the trench mud areas and the tops of the crenellations on the battlements and the wall above the gate. If you were working on a large castle piece, you could afford to be a bit heavier handed with it, but as this tower is quite small, less is definitely more. I use a bit of paper towel to drag some of the paint down if I think I've went a little heavy. It adds to the look of the smoked sculler in the stone. Now we can move on to the wood. Using trench mud, give it all a heavy dry brush. The wooden areas aren't the most eye-catching areas, but they're still in sight, particularly this one I'm painting here, as it's the mouth of the gate where the dice roll out. With a light dry brush of Venetian tan, we'll be able to quickly finish the wooden areas. This will give the wood a little more warmth and a nice little pop of colour. Either side of the battlements have these banners, which you can paint however you like. They come pre-quartered, which lets you quickly get some nice patterns down or try your hand at some heraldry. Here the red and yellow banners are a take on Henry Percy, 8th Baron of Northumberland's banner. This design is for Lord Tipman Van Cat, Duke of Tipshire, featuring fish and cat paws, as opposed to Henry Percy's red quarters sporting 3 pike and a lion rampant azure in the yellow quarters. Now with the paint on the MDF, there's a chance of it swelling slightly, so before gluing it together, give it another dry fit and file down any areas that need it. I only needed to do a couple, but you may not be as lucky. However, any area we do need to file down won't be seen, so removing paint isn't an issue, like here on the top of the male connector of the wooden ramp. Here's a look at how the frieze came out. I like taking my scenery kits that little bit further, and although I'm by no means the best sculptor in the world, I had fun making this, and that's the important part. Once you've got it all put together, you have something that is well and truly yours. And now I have something that is a real love letter to my hometown. I glued everything together with regular PVA glue, following the instructions on the TT Combat website for this kit. I also like to populate the stands in the Royal Box with models from TT Combat's Rumble Slam and Relics ranges, plus halflings from Max Mini, which is part of the Troll Trader family. And using some of these models, I've created the Duke and Duchess of Tipshire and their daughter, Lady Rosie Van Cat, whose hand the knights are competing for. And of course, we can't have a dice tower without rolling some dice.